My 5-year search for a perfect steak started in a pan, went to charcoal, a smoker, but ended up right here in the bath. I'm going to show you a technique that all the top restaurants use to cook a perfect steak every single time. So I'm Nick, and this is Intro to Sous Vide. Now, unless you're in the restaurant industry, you've probably never heard of Sous Vide. Sous vide was invented in the City of Lights, Paris, by this guy, Bruno Guisson, who has since gone on to personally teach this technique to 80% of the world's 3-star Michelin chefs, or these guys. But after decades, it's now affordable. The sous vide is essentially a circulating water heater, consistently keeping the water at your set temperature, a relaxing bath for your meat as it slowly arrives at the perfect doneness. With this machine, it's simply impossible to overcook your steak as it can never get above your desired temperature. It's set and forget. I'm removing the silver skin here. This is the thin membrane of connective tissue outside of the muscle. This won't break down under heat, so it's important we remove most of it for a clean bite, no chew. I'm slicing my roast into 25mm steaks. This is my preferred for an eye fillet. I'm not a huge fan of those 50, 60mm thick boys. For me, the flavour ratio of crust to meat sits at about 25mm. For the water bath, I only salt and MSG. I add other rubs and spices before I sear. There's no need to dry brine your steak in the fridge before you sous vide. As it cooks for over an hour in the water, the MSG and the salt will both infuse into the meat, essentially dry brining it while it's cooking. To protect the meat from the water, we need to vacuum seal our steaks. Don't stress if you don't have a vacuum sealer. I bought one, but I never use it. I always use the water displacement method with a sandwich bag. It's 5 times faster, no fuss. I'll show you how to do it. Push your bag into the water unsealed. The water will push the air out, creating its own vacuum. Once the water is over the seal, but not over the top of the bag, pinch it, seal it off, and you're good to go. Peg your bag to the bucket with the seal in the air, but the steak still fully submerged. If you use an actual vacuum sealer, you can just throw it in and let it sink. I'm setting my temp to 54.5 degrees Celsius for slightly above medium rare, 56 for medium, and if you like medium well or medium done, just pick up your sous vide, carry it over to the veranda, throw it off and unsubscribe to this channel. The steaks have been in for 1.5 hours. You can leave them in for up to 4 hours without affecting the meat. There's nothing to gain for going longer, but if I'm having people over, I'll put it on before they come and then just sear when we're ready to eat. They look gross now, but don't stress, we're not done. The meat is at an ideal doneness, but we still need to add the Maillard reaction to the surface of the steak. When we put our steaks under high heat, the proteins, amino acids, and glucose go through a chemical reaction forming a browning of the crust. It's a fancy way of saying searing, but it's important to know this step totally changes the flavour and the texture of the steak. Get your pan smoking hot. Use any oil with a high smoking point, but my favourite for a sear is a beef tallow or a blended animal fat. To ensure a good sear, our steak needs to be bone dry. Any moisture on the steak will create micro boils under the surface, breaking the contact point of the pan. I set a timer next to me. Our goal is to be on the pan for as little time as possible, but still develop a nice crust. Depending on the temp of the pan, this takes between 20 and 40 seconds per side. Anything over a minute, your steak either wasn't dry enough or your pan wasn't hot enough. Oh, all right. Now, this is the fun part. All right. Usually, this is a bit of a stressful part because obviously we want to cut in the steak and we want to be perfectly medium rare, but doesn't matter with sous vide. There's no stress with this part because we know 100% it's cooked perfect. You're going to see the most perfect medium rare steak. So we'll start with the baby. Okay. Find which way it's going. All right, watch this. See that? Perfect medium rare. Yep, once again, perfect medium rare. Let's give her a try. Oh, So good. So good. The benefit of sous vide is that the steak, when it's in the pan or when it's in the smoker, it dehydrates the meat as it's cooking and you lose a lot of the juices. But with sous vide, it cooks in its own juices and you don't lose them. So you get that perfect. So good. Oh, that's perfect. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't be better. So I'll try and show you. Oh, mother. Yoshi, look at that. So tender. Just pulling apart. Ah, it's insane. That is. Alright, so if you lasted this far in the video, we need to just have a bit of a one-on-one chat. Sous vide is one of the best ways to make steaks, hands down. You can't stuff it up. But there's only one other way that I like to have my steaks, and that's the reverse sear. So if you want to learn the reverse sear method, subscribe down the bottom, and that's going to be our next video. I would say it's 50-50 between sous vide and the reverse sear, but I'll let you be the judge. That's it. That's it. It's perfect. It's perfect. Some for you. Some for me.